Darkness. Complete, total darkness. He can't move his arms. He can't move his legs. The weight on his chest is crushing. Every breath pulls him less air than the one before. He screams. No sound escapes. He is buried under 8 feet of snow. Alone. In a mountain range where no one knows exactly where he is. His name is Daniel Marsh. He is 34 years old. And right now, he has maybe 10 minutes of oxygen left. The cold is already working on his fingers. His heartbeat is pounding so hard he can feel it in his skull. His mind is racing through every survival fact he's ever read. None of it seems to matter now. But here's what no one could have predicted. 15 hours later, Daniel Marsh walked out of that mountain alive. And what kept him alive, no one expected. 3 days before, Daniel was packing his gear in a small hotel room in Innsbruck, Austria. He was experienced. Not a beginner. Not reckless. Daniel had been backcountry skiing for 11 years. He knew avalanche zones. He carried a beacon, a probe, a shovel. He had done the courses. He had read the reports. He checked the avalanche forecast that morning. It said moderate risk. Level 2 out of 5. He had skied in level 2 conditions dozens of times. His friend Marco was supposed to come. But Marco pulled out the night before. Twisted knee. Bad timing. Daniel went alone. That was the first mistake. The mountain was called Weisberg. A long, open ridge with deep powder in a steep eastern face. Daniel had skied it twice before. Both times, perfect runs. Both times, he came back laughing. The morning was beautiful. Cold, clear, still. The kind of morning that makes you forget danger exists. He started early. Around 7. The snow was fresh and soft. His skis were cutting clean lines through untouched white. For 2 hours, everything was perfect. He didn't notice the small cracks forming in the snowpack above him. He didn't hear the low, deep settling sound underneath the surface. He was looking down the slope, smiling. And then the mountain moved. It started as a sound. Not loud. Not what you'd expect. It was a soft crack. Like someone snapping a thick branch far away. Daniel stopped. He looked up. The entire upper slope was moving. Not slowly. Fast. Instantly fast. A wall of white, the size of 3 football fields, was coming directly at him. He had maybe 4 seconds. He tried to ski left. The snow beneath him was already sliding. His edges had nothing to grip. He went down immediately. He tried to swim. That's what they teach you. Keep your hands moving. Try to stay near the surface. Create space around your face. He managed one arm movement. Then the snow hit him like a concrete wall. The sound was deafening. Roaring, grinding, crashing. Then suddenly, completely silent. He was tumbling. He couldn't tell up from down. His skis ripped off. His poles were gone. Something hit his left shoulder hard. He tried to scream. Snow filled his mouth. And then everything stopped. Total stillness. Total darkness. Total silence. He was buried alive. For the first 30 seconds, he didn't move. He couldn't process what had happened. His brain was still catching up. Then the panic hit. It wasn't gradual. It was instant and overwhelming. His heart rate exploded. He started gasping. Short, fast, useless breaths. He tried to move his right hand. It shifted slightly. Just a few centimeters. But it moved. That tiny movement probably saved his life. Because moving his hand created the first small space around him. A pocket. Barely the size of a basketball. But it existed. He forced himself to stop gasping. He had read it somewhere, a long time ago. Panic burns oxygen faster than anything else. In an avalanche burial, panic is the first killer. He pressed his lips together. Counted to 3. Took one slow breath. The air tasted like cold and dust and something metallic. But it was air. He was alive. For now. He had no idea how deep he was buried. He had no idea which direction was up. He had no idea if his beacon was transmitting. He had no idea if anyone was even looking. He tried to move his left arm. It was pinned completely. Something was pressing on it from above. He couldn't tell if it was just snow or if his shoulder was injured. He tried to wiggle his feet. Nothing. Completely locked. Only his right hand had any movement. And even that was just a few centimeters in each direction. He forced himself to think logically. His beacon was on his chest, under his jacket. If it was still transmitting on search mode after the avalanche, rescuers might find the signal. But first, someone had to know he was missing. Marco didn't expect a call until evening. It was maybe 9 in the morning. That meant at least 8 hours before anyone raised an alarm. 8 hours. Most avalanche victims die within 15 minutes from asphyxiation. He knew that fact. He had memorized it years ago in an avalanche safety course. 15 minutes. He had already used at least 3. The cold was moving through his jacket now. Not the pleasant cold of skiing. This was a different cold. Deep. Reaching. Like fingers pressing into his skin from all directions. His fingers on his right hand were still moving, but he couldn't feel them anymore. He tried to stay calm. He tried to focus on breathing slowly. Shallow breaths. Don't use too much oxygen. Don't exhale too fast. But the fear was building again. He thought about his daughter, Sophia. She was 6 years old. He had promised her he would be home by Sunday. He had promised her they would make pasta together. She had been asking to learn for months. He saw her face clearly in the darkness. Round cheeks. Dark eyes. The way she laughed with her whole body. He pressed his teeth together and stopped the thought. Don't go there yet. Stay here. Stay focused. But the thought had done something unexpected. It had slowed his breathing. His heart rate had dropped slightly. He filed that away. Time had become completely meaningless. He didn't know if he had been under the snow for 10 minutes or 40. It felt like hours. It felt like seconds. His sense of time was completely gone. He tried to think through his situation logically. Air pocket, small but present. His backpack was still on his back. He could feel the straps. The pack was pressing against the snow above him, And somehow, whether by accident or physics, it had created a slightly larger cavity around his upper body than there would have been otherwise. That was the only reason he wasn't already dead. He didn't know that yet. He would only understand it later. Right now, all he knew was that he could still breathe. He tried moving his right hand again. This time he pushed upward. Hard. The snow resisted. Dense, compacted, heavy. He pushed for 30 seconds. Then stopped to rest. No progress. But he wasn't giving up yet. Then something changed. He felt a pressure in his ears. A subtle shift. And the air tasted slightly different. Staler. Thinner. The oxygen in his small pocket was depleting. He had read about this too. Carbon dioxide builds up in a snow burial. The victim doesn't always feel it as suffocation. Sometimes it feels like drowsiness. Confusion. A gentle fading. A gentle fading sounded terrifying. He started breathing even more slowly. Tiny sips of air. His chest barely moving. He thought about the pasta again. Sophia standing on a step stool next to the stove. Flour on her nose. His vision, which was already nothing but darkness, started to feel strange. Like shapes were forming at the edges. Shadows inside shadows. He blinked. But blinking meant nothing here. A hallucination. Or the beginning of one. He had read that too. Hypoxia causes visual disturbances before unconsciousness. He was getting close to the edge. He made a decision. He was going to do something counterintuitive. Something that felt wrong. Something that every instinct in his body was screaming against. He was going to stop moving entirely. Not because he was giving up. Because movement burns oxygen. Because panic burns oxygen. Because every calorie his body spent trying to generate heat and every muscle contraction he made was costing him air he didn't have. He went completely still. He slowed his breathing to the absolute minimum. And he started doing something strange. He started remembering. Not in a desperate way. Not as an escape. But deliberately. As a technique. He had once attended a mindfulness retreat. He had gone reluctantly, dragged by an ex-girlfriend. He had sat in a room for 2 days learning to breathe and focus and observe thoughts without reacting. He had thought it was mostly useless at the time. Now, buried under 8 feet of snow, he used every single thing he had learned in that room. He observed his fear without feeding it. He let thoughts pass without grabbing them. He kept his breathing slow and rhythmic. His heart rate dropped. His oxygen consumption dropped with it. The air in his small pocket lasted longer than it should have. That retreat. That reluctant weekend he had almost skipped. That was what was keeping him alive. Hours passed. He was certain now that it had been hours. The cold had moved past discomfort into something else. His lower body felt distant. Disconnected. Like it belonged to someone else. He could no longer feel his feet at all. He kept breathing. Slow. In. Out. He kept thinking of Sophia. He kept returning to that rhythm from the retreat. Breathe in. Breathe out. You are still here. At some point, he thought he heard something. A faint vibration in the snow above him. Like footsteps. Or machinery. He didn't move. He didn't scream. He had nowhere to scream with. And he wasn't sure if it was real. The vibration faded. False hope is its own kind of cruelty. He went back to breathing. He had no way to know that Marco had called the Mountain Rescue Center at 2 p.m. That Daniel's car was still in the car park at the trailhead. That a helicopter had made 3 passes over Weisberg and found nothing in the first sweep. He had no way to know that the avalanche debris field was over 400 meters long. That the search team had been probing the wrong section for 2 hours. He had no way to know that one searcher, a woman named Hannah, had almost moved on to a different grid square. But she had paused. She had looked at the debris pattern one more time. And she had placed her probe 4 meters to the left of where everyone else was searching. The probe hit something solid at 1.8 meters depth. Not rock. Not ice. The resistance was wrong for both. She hit it again. Same resistance. Same depth. Same spot. She shouted. Daniel felt the vibration before he heard anything. A different vibration this time. Rhythmic. Purposeful. Getting closer. Something thin and sharp broke through the snow wall above his face. Stopped 2 centimeters from his nose. A probe. He was found. He tried to make a sound. What came out was barely a whisper. But the probe retracted. And then the digging started. They dug fast. For people on their knees, scooping with their hands and shovels, moving snow as fast as they could. It took 11 minutes to reach him. When they pulled him out, he was conscious but barely. His core temperature was dangerously low. His left shoulder was dislocated. He had 2 cracked ribs from the pressure of the snow. But he was breathing. He was breathing. The first thing he said, they told him later, was one word. Sophia. He spent 9 days in the hospital in Innsbruck. Surgery on his shoulder. Monitoring for frostbite. His toes survived. His fingers survived. He had been under the snow for 15 hours and 22 minutes. The doctors said the survival window for a burial that deep, that long, is almost statistically impossible. They asked him how. He thought about the backpack creating the air pocket. He thought about the mindfulness retreat. He thought about Sophia's face every time the panic started to rise. He didn't give them one answer. Because there wasn't one answer. It was a backpack placed at exactly the right angle. It was a breathing technique learned on a weekend he almost skipped. It was a daughter's face appearing at the exact moment oxygen was about to run out. It was small things. Accidental things. Things he never planned. When he finally came home, Sophia was waiting at the door. She didn't know the details. She was 6. She just knew her father was gone a long time and now he was back. She wrapped her arms around his neck and said, very quietly, I kept waiting, Papa. He held her for a long time. They made pasta that Sunday. Sometimes survival is not strength. It is not skill. It is not preparation alone. Sometimes survival is one small thing that changes everything.